Good morning. It's cold, 15 degrees. I have to walk from the house to the hot tub, over ice, through snow, in the cold. But it feels good. And it's the hardest part of getting in here because once I get out, I'm cooking and I don't even feel the cold. Here's one important habit to have every day when you wake up. Drink lots of water because you wake up dehydrated. Today I'm going to rant in my hot tub on low quality video about suffering and discomfort. I got this idea from Bedros Koulian, who is I don't know what you call people like this. He's got businesses and lots of money and he has a podcast. So, and he has cool stories and he's from Eastern Europe or somewhere. So he's got like that kind of upbringing, and then he comes to America and land of opportunity. Here we are listening to his podcast. But he has this thing called The Project, where it's like 3 days of sleep deprivation and cold water. It's kind of like Kokoro Camp by Mark Devine, who was a Navy SEAL. So he does like I don't know if it's a personal improvement or Navy SEAL prep camp or something. But the whole point is to make people miserable. And it's just for men. And they do a bunch of group stuff and talking about what's bothering them and how to be better at their business and better in their families. And they write journals and they talk to each other, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, one of the things he talks about is the people that quit because it sucks. You pay a lot of money and then him and his faculty, his cadre torture. Well, torture. It's not torture. They make these guys do a bunch of unpleasant physical stuff. And he points out that some people are suffering and some people are only in discomfort. And what's the difference? I thought that was awesome when he was talking about that. Because what it is we get in these physically stressful or painful situations, specifically cold and water, because that's the best way to break a man, I think, is cold and water together. And sleep deprivation too. When we get, how do I put this? Are you just feeling pain or are you suffering? I notice this myself when I'm sick or when I'm in some kind of physical discomfort. Is it like my soul hurts and something inside of me hurts? Like it's an internal stress, physical or spiritual, emotional, mental, or is it just physical pain? And it makes me wonder. It helps find when you ask the question, what's causing me to suffer? Why am I suffering? I don't know about you. I was just gonna say me. When I start asking myself that question, why am I suffering? I start digging. Why am I? If this is only a little bit of pain, why does it suck so horribly? And then by digging, I find things that are actually bothering me, things that have been hanging around in the back of my head for a while. And so I'm recommending this exercise when you encounter any sort of physical stress or pain, and to, well, put yourself in these situations. First of all, I highly recommend seeking discomfort. Don't get comfortable. Do stuff that's scary and not fun and painful. And ask yourself, why am I suffering or am I uncomfortable? And if I'm suffering, why am I suffering? So that's the exercise. Why am I suffering? And don't play trauma Olympics. Everybody's got trauma, and you can't compare your trauma because to someone else's because it's yours, right? Like you didn't go through something as worse as the next guy, so yours isn't valid in any sort. So it doesn't matter. But it does, because it shapes you emotionally and mentally, and so it's part of you. So don't play the trauma Olympics. And when you figure out what's bothering you, go to it. Go through it. Why are you suffering? And then figure it out. That's as best I can explain it. It's a very simple thing. Something's making you feel more pain than you should. And this reminds me of a thing that I heard, or I watched these videos of the running coach that CrossFit was using a really long time ago. I think it was the guy that taught CrossFit the pace method, some Russian guy. This was, man, this was like 2010, 2011. And one of the things he says stuck with me. I think he said, I might just be paraphrasing, or maybe I think I heard him say it. He says when people get ill, when they get sick because they're working out really hard, it's because they're not accepting the experience. And that, I think that's totally awesome. I don't know how true it is. It's probably like most things where it's true in some cases and it's not true in some other cases, because I've pushed myself pretty hard to where I couldn't move, or where I was falling over, and I never had the uh, the urge to barf. So maybe that's what that is. Maybe I just accepted the experience. I dig the pain, man. I'm well. I'm okay with the suffering. It doesn't bother me. So there you go. And the way to make it through the suffering is to breathe a lot. Breathe and find the source of your pain. And go to it, go through it, process it. Okay, that's it. Why am I suffering? Ask yourself that. Have a nice day.